I want to get a little bit into cleaning gear and methods. I first off went out and bought a cleaning kit at Cabela's. It has black powder solvent, brush, rod, the anti-seize stick, which is, you'll notice on the bore plug, on a breech plug, there's this black stuff. You put this on here to keep it from seizing and locking into the barrel. It has as a basic kit everything you need to start, and then and it also came with this Blue Wonder gun cleaner, which works pretty well. It's kind of like a gel. It's this happens to be biodegradable. One thing I found out, a lot of the cleaning stuff that you use in muzzle loaders, since muzzle loaders have been around for such a long time, before they used before the extensive use of chemicals, a lot of the stuff is biodegradable. Another one that I've found that works really good is boar butter, and I really like this stuff. It's been very good. And one of my other reviews was on Ballistol. On the Ballistol website, they recommend a 50-50 solution for cleaning muzzle loaders. So I also use this. And another thing that you can also use is plain old dish soap and hot water. As far as the water, the hotter you can get it, the better. So I clean it with a bore brush just the same way. I punch it just as in any rifle. Then you'll need a lot of patches. Put a lot of patches through it. And after doing that, a lot of times I'll use a combination. And I'll first start off with dish soap. And I'll just punch the bore till it's like pretty much clean with dish soap. And then rinse it out. And then use a little bit of Ballistol and do that so it's really clean. And then use the Blue Wonder bore cleaner. And then once you're done with that, you let it dry. And the reason you use really hot water is because it heats up the barrel to the point where, like my hot water in my house, you almost can't touch the barrel for more than a half a second. It's really hot. But that heated up barrel, then once you take it out and dry it, that heat helps the water to dissipate or evaporate off the barrel. So it gets all that moisture off right away. So then after I'm done with that, then I'll take the boar butter and punch it one more time just to put a nice coating on there. And the boar butter kind of, after you've been shooting it for a while, it kind of seasons the barrel, much like a cast iron frying pan. And I've found that the use of the hot water is the same principle that's used with a cast iron pot or pan, and that you heat it up to the point where it helps the water to evaporate off it. So that's a little bit of a cleaning tip. And oops, try to get that lined up the right way. In some ways, cleaning a muzzle loader is, you kind of feel like it's dirtier than conventional cleaning just because of the black powder involved, but it's also simpler than cleaning a modern firearm. There's just a lot less parts to it, a lot less stuff. Now, some of the gear that you'll need to start muzzle loading, and one of them you'll need is a possibles bag. Now, this is the possibles bag I bought for my flintlock. I don't have a possibles bag yet for this rifle, but you will need one. Alright. With my kit that I bought from Cabela's came with this, and this here is the nipple like I was showing you that you use with hollow points. So you put the bullet in the muzzle loader, and you use this to start it, and then you use this to push it a little bit further, and then you use the big ramrod to push it all the way in. So you start with this and then finish out with that. And then, unlike when you load it, unlike what they show you a lot of times on TV, you don't want to tamp it in. You want to push it with as smooth as motion as possible, and then when it gets to the end, then you want to just give it a couple quick taps. Now sometimes you might have a harder time loading it, like for example, for me, the best loading is when it's just been cleaned. If I cleaned it between every shot, that would be the easiest to load. Once I've fired it once, it's a lot more difficult to load. I can get it to about here, but then the debris just kind of builds up, and it's hard to push it in, especially the last couple of inches. I got to whack it a couple of good times. So, and one tip also is to, when you load it for the first time with a clean barrel and everything is seated properly, you want to take a knife or something and put a notch on the ramrod so that every subsequent time after that, you'll know you need to get it to that notch to have it properly seated. And you want it properly seated because if there's a gap, your barrel could explode, or you could damage the barrel, could bulge. So you want to make sure that everything is packed down tight. Muzzle loading is not something that you kind of do casually. You really need to be focused when you're doing it, kind of like reloading. There is a certain danger to it if you don't do it correct. And I don't want to scare anybody away. It's not a dangerous hobby or anything like that, but you just need to pay attention to what you're doing, okay?